I recently explained the basics of the Excel add-in in a video. If you haven't seen it yet and are not familiar with the basics, I would recommend you watch the video first. It can also be found in the service center. At this point, I would like to show you how to work with add-in version 4.6 R4 to create individual evaluations. At first, make sure you are using the currently released version. If you are successfully connected to Visual Energy 4 after opening Excel, the toolbar should look like this. It is easy to check the version info. It should be 4.6.4.49. But now let's have a look at the actual work with the add-in. There are two ways of evaluating energy data with Excel. The first variant is to use predefined reports. The required data is read from Visual Energy and entered in a new table sheet. Subsequently, the cells only contain numbers or general Excel formulas, ensuring that tables created in this manner can be transferred to persons who cannot access Visual Energy. Although these reports are kept very general, they can be used as the basis for further evaluations or simply provide a brief overview. The function for listing objects saved in the Energy Archive is additionally available for these applications. Allow me to explain this using a short example. Let's assume that you require a list of all the official input measurements for gas and electricity at the existing locations. With just a few clicks, you can choose the required properties for selecting the data records and the columns to be shown. The rest is carried out by the add-in, which then lists the desired objects. But it is not just master data that can be shown in this way. Energy data can also be visualized. Use the Project Explorer for this purpose. Select the medium, the OBIS measured parameter, the meter point and the required time range. Use the List Data button to receive the desired data clearly structured in a table sheet. In contrast to these lists, the second evaluation option involves creating your own calculation table using special user-defined functions. A few examples for better understanding. Case 1. You wish to determine the monthly consumption of a measuring point and evaluate it with a specific amount of money. For preparation, we require the parameters for selecting the consumption. The meter point for unique identification of the measuring point, the OBIS measured value as well as the start and end date. Now we will use a special add-in function to request the consumption. Each of these functions requires the input of specific parameters and finally returns the output value in the cell. In our case, we use the function VE4-calc-m-point-sum. Use the mouse to allocate the function parameters. The determined value is returned immediately. We can also determine the status or the unit for the measured parameter in this way. A list of the included functions is, by the way, available in the KBR Service Center. The function parameters are also described there. Formatting values and further processing, for instance multiplication by a specific amount of money, is then child's play. The advantage of this type of evaluation is that it is possible to flexibly adjust the task by varying the individual parameters. If a different time period is required, you only have to change the date. Everything else is carried out by the add-in and Excel. On the other hand, the function requires a valid connection to the Visual Energy 4 web. If I, for example, wish to transfer this table to someone else, this person must also have a connection to Visual Energy 4, just like me. But let's go back to the user-defined functions and their function parameters. I'm sure you have asked yourself how to, for instance, obtain the meter point name or the obis measured parameter. In my case, I simply copied it from the clipboard. For example, from the previously created lists. However, we have learned in the basics video that this task can be much easier accomplished with a project window. After having set the medium and measured parameter, you only have to select the desired information in the context menu via the right mouse button and then copy the object into the cell via drag and drop. In case 2, I will show you another typical example. The usual information is already in the table sheet. Now we wish to extend the whole thing slightly. I initially use a function to determine the name of the measuring point through the meter point name. I also wish to enter the names and units of the measured parameter. To ensure that I can copy the formulas without Excel changing the references, I have to enter a $sign at the unchanging cell references. These functions can subsequently also be copied. That copy and paste quite often results in carelessness and thus errors can be seen here. The total of the power peaks is not very helpful. Therefore, the function must be changed to max. The function VE4-getEmPointMaxDate also provides the time for the highest value. Dates are saved in Excel as sequential numbers, so that they can be used in calculations. As standard, 1st January 1900 is the sequential number 1. You can easily format this number to the desired presentation. Especially when the evaluations are relevant for accounting, you should also always determine and display the status of all the used measuring values. You can easily summarize the individual statuses to a total status using the Excel function max. With a little amount of formatting work, you can thus create a quite acceptable evaluation. We can now store this evaluation in Visual Energy 4 Web. On the one hand, this results in a quite elegant solution which already solves the problem of storage space and data storage, and, on the other hand, we can limit or specify access in a detailed manner at the same time. We can, for instance, as shown here, simply store the document in the evaluation area. But we could also save it in the document folder at the location. Opening Excel sheets saved in Visual Energy 4 Web is also simple with the add-in. The document is converted during opening, meaning it does not matter on which computer and with which add-in directory it has been created. Carrying out changes in order to build another measuring point is now child's play for you. Just try it yourself and find out how easy it really is. I hope I was able to inspire you with this video.